Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Smith, and I'm an instructor at the Helene S. Mills Senior Multipurpose Center. Today, we will be doing pour art slash abstract paint. The pour art project that we're going to do today is called Peacock Feathers. I'm going to show you a way to paint peacock feathers without actually using a paintbrush. We're just going to use our paint and our canvas. Before we get started, a few of the things that we're going to need today are a canvas. If you don't have a canvas at home, you could use a piece of wood. But if you use a piece of wood, I recommend priming it or gessoing it so that the wood does not warp while you're working on it. You can also use a piece of cardboard, and I would also prime the cardboard as well so that it doesn't start warping. The next thing we're going to need is flood Floetrol. You can get this at Lowe's or Home Depot. If you don't have access to the store or getting it, you can mix Elmer's glue and water. 50% Elmer's glue, 50% water, and that'll serve as your Floetrol. This really just Floetrol really just helps your paint flow a little smoother when you're pouring it. The next thing you're going to need are containers to put your paint in. I'm reusing dish soap containers. You could use any kind of container as long as it has a lid. We're going to need acrylic paint. The colors are up to you that you want to use. I chose some colors that kind of look like colors you would find in peacock feathers. So I'm going to be using white, light green, light blue, purple, blue, green, and gold. But like I said, the colors, are really up to you what colors you want to use. When you're mixing your paint, you want to do 20% water, 40% paint, and 40% Floetrol. So that's 20% water, 40% paint, 40% Floetrol. Okay. This is also called a cylinder pour. I'm calling it a peacock pour because when you pour the paint, it starts looking like peacock feathers. But if you go on YouTube, they'll call it a sink strainer pour. You can either use a cylinder, sink strainer, anything that has lines in it. You can also use the sink strainer that have the circles, but I found that the ones that have the lines in it work best. Okay, the first thing we want to do is pour our paint into a measuring cup. And make sure it's not a measuring cup that you use to cook. If you don't have a measuring cup that you use for art, just like a large cup that you could pour something out of. Okay, when you're adding your colors, you want to go on the same pattern. So if you start with white, that's why I have my colors lined up so that I'll know which color pattern I need. And you always want to shake your colors up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start with white. Light green. Light blue, and this is like a Caribbean blue, kind of a turquoise blue. Purple. I'm gonna go with a dark blue. Green, dark green, like a forest green. Of gold. So we're going to repeat that same color pattern one more time. White, Sometimes with that acrylic paint, it turns to plastic, so you gotta get the little plastic parts out. Then we're gonna put light blue. And I like to make sure I have more paint than less. You can always use the paint over for something else. Purple. Dark blue. Green. And we'll do one little more thing of gold. Okay, now that we have our colors settled, you always want to make sure when you're pouring that you have your canvas on a tray or something that could catch the paint. Like this is my work table, so it really doesn't matter if I get paint on it. But if you're working at home on your kitchen table or something like that, you want to make sure that your work area has something to catch the paint, because it's going to start rolling around. Okay, now you want to make sure you center your sink strainer right in the middle of the canvas, or as close to it as you can. And we're going to start pouring our paint. When you pour, you want to pour in kind of a swirling motion, so like, like don't just pour it all in there at once. Kind of pour a little bit at a time. And you'll slowly see the paint starting to you just want to keep doing that swirling. Pour. Try not to get the paint all the way up to the top of the cylinder. You just want to slowly, a little bit pour it at a time. Once you get a little bit, let that settle a little bit. I'll let you get a look at how the colors are starting to pour out. I want to do a little bit more. And it's okay if it rolls off the edge of the canvas. The lines in the sink strainer are what makes it divide out and look like the peacock feathers. See that white paint just starting to come through. And that's about all the paint I have. We'll just let that slowly spread out. This is just going to be part one to our peacock feathers. I'm going to actually make a peacock to put on top of the feathers once this dries. once your paint settles down a little bit, you want to slowly twist off the center of your, check out the pattern you have. Now sometimes when people are doing this pour, they'll pick the canvas up and start moving the paint around, but I like my paint to just kind of sit there and let it do what it's going to do on its own. And that's basically it. Once you get done pouring it, it's up to you if you want to. You can pick your canvas up and stretch the image out, stretch the paint out to all edges of the canvas. But like I said, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna just keep mine just like this. I kind of like that pattern in the center there. And remember, when you're mixing your paint, you want to use 20% water, 40% paint, and 40% Floetrol. If you can't get the Floetrol, I know everybody's using what they have at home. If you can't get that, remember you can just mix Elmer's glue and water, and it'll give you the same effect. And that's basically it. When we come back next week, I'll let you see how it's stretched out a little bit more, but for time, that's all I'll be able to show you today. And I hope you enjoyed the sink strainer technique, or as I refer to it, the peacock feather technique. Alright, thank you, and I'll see you next time.